Is the planet on fire? All right, that's why we're here today. You're here because you care. You're here because this is a crisis. Thank you to all the organizers, and thank you for all the young people who are here, and all of you for supporting the climate strike today. My name is Fadhel Kaboub, and I teach economics at Denison University. Yes, I'm an economist. Yes, I'm an economist, but I'm not one of those. Not those economists who were wrong about climate change. They were wrong about economic inequality. They were wrong about poverty. They were wrong about the financial crisis. They were wrong about everything. And yet they still ask us to take their word for it. They say, the Green New Deal is too expensive. It's too bold. We can't afford it. What do they say? They say, let's try something simple, experimental, incremental. We don't have time for experimental and incremental. 12 years to go. We have 12 years not to think, not to sit down and reflect on the last 30 years. We've known about this since Silent Spring. We've known about this for a long time. We have 12 years to act on a massive global scale, not small, global scale. That's why I support the Green New Deal, because the Green New Deal is not incremental, it's not small, it's bold. It's about changing the entire engine of the economy, not just changing the tires and changing the oil. No more oil. We're changing the entire structure that produces inequality, that produces poverty, that produces oppression, that produces pollution. We want to transform the entire economy, and guess what? We can't afford it. The part that we can't afford is the status quo. We're already paying too much. Think about it this way. Would we rather clean the water source or pay for cancer treatment for the next 30 years? Would we rather have after-school programs to inspire kids with music and theater and sports and build the next generation of leaders? Or not do that because it's too expensive, and then build prisons for the young people of the next generation? This is why I support the Green New Deal, and this is why I support Morgan Harper. She signed the pledge. Isn't this exciting? We need people like Morgan Harper in Congress. And the numbers are very clear. All the polling numbers are very clear. The vast majority of people support the Green New Deal, support Medicare for all, support all of the progressive policy ideas. And it's true for Republicans and independents too. The only people who don't support this are elected officials in Washington, D.C., their lobbyists, and the media people who push their ideas. We outnumber them. We have the numbers. If you don't support the Green New Deal, if you don't support bold action against climate change, we're coming for your seat. We're going to unseat you. Yes. How do we pay for it? Can we afford it? Where is the money? The federal government pays for it the same way we paid for World War II. World War II came after the Great Depression, the most miserable time in world history. There was no money to be taxed. There was no money to be borrowed. But we had a major crisis, and the government spent money into existence, made it a priority. We didn't tax anybody before World War II. The taxes came after. We didn't borrow from anybody before World War II. The borrowing came after. This is how the federal government spends all the time on all the priorities. We just have to make them set the priorities straight and spend on fighting climate change, spend on Medicare for all, spend on reparations, spend on fixing inequality. We don't need to wait for the next 50 years to go extinct, because once we're gone, planet Earth, nobody's gonna miss us, right? This is about us. We're here as custodians of this planet. We don't own this thing. We don't have a right to it. Nobody has the right to privatize the land, privatize the water, privatize anything. We don't need anybody's permission to put in place a Green New Deal. We don't need money for the rich. We don't need taxes from the rich, but we should still tax them. We tax them to reduce their power and influence in politics. We tax them to reduce inequality. We should tax the fossil fuel industry to drive them out of existence, not because we need their money or their permission. We tax Wall Street not because we need their money or their permission to fund healthcare for all, We tax them because they're too rich and too oppressive of the system that we live in. That's how we pay for the Green New Deal. Set the priorities straight, change the system, and Morganize. Vote for Morgan Harper. Support all the progressive organizations here. Follow them on social media and get to your neighbors, get to your schools, organize. The numbers are in our favor if we act. And finally, I grew up in the Middle East, and I have to say something about that region. Climate change is a global thing, and it's happening, and it's massive. And climate refugees have been on the move for years already. They just don't carry IDs that says, I'm a climate refugee. The Syrian refugees started moving 3-4 years before the first bullets were fired because of climate change, because their livelihood was destroyed. And we're talking about millions of people who will be on the move in the next few years, some of them already on the move. That's the part we can't afford. We have millions of people who want to work. We have the planet on fire. We have technology that's getting cheaper and more accessible by the day for renewable energy. We have to put those things together and create a better, more prosperous, more sustainable world for all of us, for the next generations. Thank you again for being here.